class we are discussing about this case study. Then I was telling about the steps of case study, and I think we stopped here. Preparation for data collection. We have completed this selecting cases. Okay, we'll discuss about preparation for data collection. See, in case study method, as I have already told you, it is mostly an approach. Here we are using different kind of methods also for collecting the information, and that's why whenever we want to make a cases, there are certain kind of steps we have to follow, and within that steps there is a one more step is here, that preparation for data collection, and which is very crucial, because collecting the data is a really very challenging, because how you will collect, what are the procedure you will follow for the collecting data, and the major thing is that what I was telling you the last time also, that sometimes people are a bit confused. They tell that, okay sir, data we collect, but we are not able to collect the data in a proper way, and sometimes whenever we go to the field with a questionnaire, we are not able to get all the information. So that's why what I feel, the preparation for data collection is very crucial for us, because your questionnaire might be very good, your methodology might be very good, your problem might be very good, but ultimately the people you engage in collecting the data, the way you collect the data, even if yourself, matters a lot, because it is really challenging that the method mechanism we adopt, the collection of the data, the way we approach while collecting the data matters a lot. Because you see, collecting data is not so easy task, because motivating the people to share the information is also very challenging. Because what I'm telling, if you ask to any peoples, whether it is urban people, rural people, tribal peoples, does not matter. But the question is, whenever you ask any question to the peoples, generally, it is a kind of habit within the minds of the people that they never maintain any record. They usually very much habituated in forgetting the data. See, even if somebody will ask me, sir, what is your income, I can tell, because I have a fixed income. But for a rural people, it is very difficult to tell what is your monthly income, because you see, he may tell tentatively, but accurately it is quite difficult, because he is depending on agriculture, which is an annual income sometimes. And if somebody is doing vegetable and all, so day to day he is going to the market and selling. Today if he is selling 10 kg potato, tomorrow he might be selling 20 kg potato. Along with the potato, he might be selling with some green vegetables, some green leaves, and also, so which in which the quantity is also not fixed, and the rates are also in the market are fluctuated. So that's why it is very difficult in the part of an individual who is depending on this agriculture and wage laborer. It's very difficult to tell you that this is my monthly income or annual income. But only thing is, you have to convince and try to find out that how many days exactly he is able to, not exactly, tentatively he is able to get the work in a month. Even you can ask him how many days usually you went for last month, you went for the kind of doing the non-agricultural activities, means non-farm wage laborer or farm wage laborer if you are doing. And what exactly on an average you have a land and how much you produce the vegetable and all. Some kind of tactics have to use for collecting all this information. And if needed, you can visit to his field, see the situation in the field, see that what are the condition of the different small plants and what can be expected they produce, means what variety the seeds is using, Seeing the plants also, you can understand generally what is the growth and the visibility of the plants, which you can expect the production level. All these things are highly required. The researcher, so that's why I told the data collection is really very challenging and very crucial in our case. The researcher should be able to ask good questions and be a good listener. So that is very, very important. You see, you might be having a questionnaire in English, but while you are asking to the peoples in their language, even in their complete regional language, also very difficult. You see, suppose I'll tell you, whenever we are telling organic farming, is it, if I go and tell the villagers, generally we are very much acquainted with some of the terminology even in English and all. Even if I am talking in Odia, in my own regional language, but I am telling organic farming, I am not using in the Odia what exactly the organic farming is being told. Or organic pesticide, what is exactly used to be told. So what I am telling, so then whenever I will go to the villagers, some of the people may not be much understood that what is in the what is the meaning of organic farm, organic pesticide, organic organic compost and all. So what I am telling, so I have to also know exactly the terminology in Odia and again the region where they usually use the terminology. And at the same time, whenever I ask some question to somebody, he might be slow in speaking, he might be answering slowly while thinking, but there I should not interfere very frequently. I should be a good listener. I should first listen. Because listener will be the because in order to be a researcher, in order to be a teacher, you have to be a good listener also. See, so that's why I always tell that a good characteristic of a should be, or a researcher should be a good listener. And if you look at this, see, even I'll give an example of Bhagavad Gita. Who was the really teacher for the Arjuna? Who was teacher for the Arjuna? Who teaches?
Guru Dronacharya, sir.
Dronacharya teaches him the how to use the bow and arrow. But otherwise, the who teaches his principle of life and while taking all the decisions,
Krishna.
Krishna. Maybe. So you see, if you look at this Gita, from the very beginning till the half of the portion of the Gita, who is speaking? If any of you have gone through the Gita, just tell me who is speaking first.
Krishna. Krishna. Krishna, sir.
Krishna is speaking.
Arjuna is asking questions, will start asking questions. Why should I fight this battle? Then Krishna responds.
So then who else are involved? Who else are involved? Hello.
Bhishma is also involved in some portions, some part during the war.
Bhishma was involved. Where Bhishma was involved? See, who asked to Vidura? Dhritarashtra asked to the Vidura. What is happening? So thereafter, did Dhritarashtra ask any more question also? Only in between some clarification he asked. Otherwise, did Dhritarashtra ask anything? Dhritarashtra didn't ask anything. Only Vidura was explaining. So that reveals that the curiosity to learn by the Dhritarashtra, the students should also learn from Dhritarashtra that a good listener also. Means while Vidura is speaking, explaining, the Dhritarashtra is also simply listening. He has shown his patience of listening. And if you look into the case of Arjuna and Krishna, So the Arjuna is keep on asking the question from the very beginning. Lots of questions Arjuna asked. Did Krishna reply anything in between? No. So what the Krishna did? He was thinking that let the Arjuna, whatever he has confusion, to vomit fast, to let his kind of uh, confusion should be first expressed and should be come out. Then only Krishna can reply on that. So that's why what I'm telling, I'm not getting into details. So if I'll get into that, it will take a long time because I used to go on different places and teach also the impact of Gita on contemporary youths. So you see what I'm telling here, we should learn something that from here, that, well, Arjuna was asking that, keep on telling, the Krishna was listening. So here my concern is that as a researcher, you should have patience. You should, because you see, whenever you are going to the field, so the there will be, is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is a high chance that there are some people who will keep on speak, because there are some people in different areas, they will only keep on speak. And if you interfere in between, they may break and they may divert, they may forget. So that's why you should be very much careful, and as a good listener, you should listen them very carefully. And you should be very adaptive and flexible. What is the adaptive and flexible? See, adaptive in the sense, suppose I'll tell you that yesterday I went to a field. I was with some farmers. I was talking to a farmers. Then my question was something, but he answered me something else. But still, I listened him very carefully because he was having grievance for other things. So which is not much relevant for me, but at least I should have a kind of patience to listen him, and I should be very flexible, that I should not be that, okay, this is my structured questionnaire and it should be finished, and I have a target to wind up this much questionnaire and I should go back my home and all. Suppose when a farmer was expressing his all grievances, which is not relevant to me also, then he told me, sir, please come and visit my land. I want to sow some grievances in the field. His field is no much relevant for me. But still, what I feel, no, I should not disappoint him. Then he told me, sir, you please sit in my bike, I'll take you. Then I went with him. I spent around 1 hour in his field. Then we had a very good discussion in the field. Through that, what happened? He also learned so many things from me, and I also learned so many things from him. So what I'm telling, we should be very much adaptive and flexible, because in the case study methods, if you want, that unless and until you are adaptive and flexible, you cannot collect the good cases. So because you have to understand that why somebody behaved in a different way, what is his grievance, and if you understand his entire problem, then only it will help you to develop a kind of good case study. Should have firm understanding of the issues being studied. Means you should have a clear cut understanding on what issues you are going to study. Because if you are not clear on what issue you are going to collect the information, then you cannot collect the data properly. Because how will you relate the things in the field? Unless and until you are having a good idea. Suppose if you are working on a policy issues, unless and until you are having a clear-cut idea on the policy of that particular things, you cannot go to the field and collect the information, because you should have a very clear idea about the policy of that issues. The researcher should have knowledge about as to why this study is being done. You have to also very much careful that what for the research is needed. So if you are very much careful about what for the research is being done, why you have gone to the field to do the study, then only you can give the justification to your data and all. Because unless and until you are clear that what for you are here, so you cannot do that. Because suppose if I have suppose taken some my students to the field, and unless and until I clear them that what for we are here, they cannot collect the proper information. So that's why we should be very much clear. He or she should be clear about the type of evidence and data are. What exactly data you need. I should be very much clear from the beginning. Then only I will focus on that. These are the data which is required for me. The researcher should also be able to anticipate the kind of possible variations. See, whenever you are going to the field and preparing for the field, you should understand that these are the questions if I ask, there might be huge variation may come within the respondents, where the respondents are not from the same domains. He or she should be able to determine what would constitute supportive and contrary evidence for any given proposition. We should be very much clear that what kind of contradictory statement we may receive, what kind of supportive statement we may receive, all these things I should be very much clear. Designer of the survey and interview also need to know the purpose of survey and the nature of analysis that will follow. See, who is doing this, designing this survey and interview questionnaire, he should be very much careful that what should be the purpose of survey and the nature of analysis. How will analyze? Because that's what I told. If you are using software and all, you should have do the coding from the very beginning. Collecting data from the field involves selecting representatives cases as far as possible. Collecting data from the fields. While collecting, I am coming to the field. Involves the selecting representatives cases as far as possible. Suppose if you take the case study, you should not take the case study from everybody. So you have to select the representatives within them that on which you will make a case study. Suppose I want to make a study on their agricultural activities and all. So from that, I have to find out that the farmers who are very much successful in their farming activities, they will be representative for their entire community. So I can pick up those representatives within them, and then I can take a case study from them. The typicalness of the case is important. What exactly the typicality? What is the very much important? That why I'll take the study on this particular case. That is also very important. The recording of cases and interpretation is also an important aspect of collecting the data. While I am interacting, I can also, with the due permission from the respondent, I can make the recording. And through that, once I get the data from him, I can, while writing, I can interpret it. In collecting the data, continuity, breadth, and leisure are important. While I am collecting the data, the continuity will be continued, the breadth and leisure are very important. So different things, the continuation of collection, the width and the breadth means I should look into from all the aspects, also very important. Means my understanding of that particular case should be very much holistic. From all the angles, I should look into, and my collections should have a continuation. It is not that today I just finished it about. Unless until I write that case study, I can be in touch with them, collecting the information based on my analysis. Because sometimes what happens, you collect lots of information from the field, but while you do really the analysis and start report writing, you will feel that some relevant information you have missed. And at the same time also you will feel that some data you have collected which is not relevant also. And means something we have collected which is not relevant, something which is relevant you have failed in collecting. Continuity envisages completeness and validity of data, confidential and correct recording and scientific synthesis. See, continuity in what sense? Completeness means whatever the data you are collecting, it should have a completeness. It should have a validity of data, because it's not that somebody will tell whatever you will accept it. You should believe in the validity of the data, because unless and until you believe that the data whichever you have collected are having validity, it is will not help you in any way. And also one thing, you should be very much careful that means you will maintain the confidentiality and the correct recording. Means whatever the data you are collecting, you should have a while you are recording all this data, you should have a very correct way. It is not that haphazardly you will collect the information, and it should be very much scientific also. Studying the unit as a total needs a broad array of facts to grasp the patterns of unity, life in many facts. Life histories of these units, their social attitude, reaction to the stimulus, and social forces must be recorded. See, their reaction to different segments, different aspects, different things. You see, while we are interacting with the peoples. So if other person intervene and they may react and all. So all these things should be recorded properly. Details regarding the background of the units must be also gathered. While you are writing a case study, you have to completely collect the background of that particular case, because of that will help you in writing the case study. Because unless and until you understand the background, means you have to understand what is his case, caste, what is his gender, what is his religion, what is exactly his relation with all the villagers and all the colony people and all these information are there. Accuracy and objectivities in production, in the reproduction of information received should be ensured. See, whatever you are writing, you should feel that its accuracy and objectivity can be reproduced. It is not that you will write something and whenever we will cross check, we will find something else. A balance between completeness necessary for objectivity and brevity essential for the clarity. Means you should give the complete information so that a clarity can be maintained. Because if you give some information in haphazardly, the clarity will not maintain and in future it will be problematic. Methods of recordings should be uniform and updated. Means the way you are recording, the instrument you are using of the recording, it should be very uniform and also very up to date. Means you should record the information in a very up-to-date manner. The recordings should be topical under major themes in the investigation rather than serial. The recordings should be very topical under major themes. Means very on a very particular, while you are recording, your discussions should be under a major theme. There should be a major theme, and under that theme you can discuss, and then you can shift to another themes, and under that you can ask question and record it. Because it is not that you will ask some question from under one theme now, then again you will jump to another theme, then again you will back to another theme. So that is not good. There is a need for a definite type of documentation, such as classification of problems, objectivity of study, definition of methods and techniques employed. So means you should use a particular type of documentation. How you will classify the problem, how you will ask what are the different objectives, and objective wise you can classify the mechanism you are going to adopt. All these things should be very clear from the very beginning. Clear identification of data through accurate description means you can understand the data, you can identify clearly the data through accurate description. You can describe it in a proper manner and accuracy should be maintained. Skills of the investigator is very important. Those who are going for the collection of the data, their skill is very important, because unless and until they are very much accommodative, flexible, and having the tactics to deal with the people, interact with the peoples, they will not able to collect the data. So that's why I always say the skill of collection, because that's why if you are not having the skill, you will not able to collect all the information. A good deal of social understandings, sociability, and participation are needed in the data gathering personnel. See, means the person who are engaged in collecting the data, he should have a proper understanding of the society. He should be sociability means he should be very much flexible and mixing in the society. He should be accepted by the community, by the society, because unless and until you are having a sociability attitude, you cannot collect the data. Then participation, you should have an attitude that okay, I'll involve with the people, I'll collect the information. No. An investigator bias need to be checked. If an investigator is biased, that should be checked also. Because if you are going and collecting the information as an investigator, I might be biased based on my own ideology, based on my own caste, based on my own thinking, That should be also checked. The technique for recording case histories and much serious attention. So the techniques which I'll adopt in recording all this information should is looked very seriously, and we should give more attention to that. So that will help us in collecting all the information in the field. The raw narrative data are at times and curious admixture of accounts of personal experience of the narrator and the views and the biases of the recorder. See, sometimes what happens, we collect raw data from the field, but sometimes our personal experience also mixes with this, and personal experience, personal views, and bias also influence all this recording process. All the things we should be very carefully observe, because whether that person is might be having lots of experience, but he should not interfere, and he should not interfere as per his own personal biasness and personal ideology and personal view. All these things should be cross-checked. Writing of a case history should be looked upon as having a much importance as the writing of a laboratory experiment. So while we are writing a case history and case study, we should write in such a way that as if we are doing a lab experiment in the lab. So because unless and until, because while we are doing the case study, we are doing an experiment on him. We are taking his entire biodata, entire background, linking it, interacting with, and while interacting, we are also sometimes asking some cross questions. So that's why we should have the sense of writing in that way. Uniform methods of recording and carefully select case data may provide a basis for comparison and classification of significant common as well as particular differences in given situation. Ultimately, serves as a basis for deriving scientific basis of generalization. You see, while you are collecting the case studies and writing the case studies also, you should be very much careful and use the uniform method in all cases while recording and collecting the information. So that what will happen, if tomorrow you want to classify those information you collected, you can compare with one case to another case, you compare the one area to another area. If you have particularly follow any scientific methods of all these things, so you can have an you can use it in a better generalization, because unless and until you are not in a proper way, you will be in trouble. This aim can be more easily achieved if the case and statistical methods supplement each other. So means the statistical methods and the way your qualitative data information you have collected should be supplement with each other. You can cross check by using different techniques. Analyzing and report writing, this is one of the last. So means the propositions help in focusing our attention on some data and to ignore others. Means whatever I have proposed, my hypothesis, my research question, based on that, whatever the data you have collected, all these data may not be relevant, but based on that, you attention those data which are relevant to your present study and ignore the others. They help in organizing the entire case study and in defining the alternative explanation to be examined. So what will happen? It will help you in whatever is required for your case, writing the case study, that you can use. You organize in a proper way, that how you will write, where you will start. You have to start from the very beginning of his life. Then one need to develop a descriptive framework to organize the case study and identify types of events or process of interaction and an overall pattern of complexity. What I am telling here is, see, while we are collecting the information and while we are writing, we should organize the report in such a way that definitely we will identify the different events occurs in his life, the different process which he has crossed throughout his life. All these things should be identified and all these things should be categorized, and on what should be written after what. All these things should be categorized, and so that the reports can be very written in a better way. Comparing an empirically based pattern with predicted one. If the pattern coincides, can help in strengthening a case study internal validity. See, means you have to collect the information in such a way that you can compare the data empirically. Analyze the data by building case explanation. What you will write? How will you analyze? Based on the data given by the case. So based on that, you can make a better explanation, better analysis. The way these people have explained, the way the explanation, whatever is being given, based on that, you can analyze the data. Match data over time with a theoretically significant trend specified in advance along with the arrival train. So data should be theoretically significant because the data which you have collected should have a link with your theory. Unless and until your data is supporting your theoretical arguments, it has no meaning. While writing the case study, it is important to know the audience to whom it is addressed, as different audience have a different expectation. You see, while I'm writing a case study, I should write in such a that understanding that who will be my audience, who are going to read my reports, and if my report is not accordingly, if I am writing a case study which is which target group is different, then ultimately my case will not have any kind of sense. There are different types, styles, case study reports. Linear analytic means problem. Here, what is linear analytic we do? We find out the problems, then we find out the methods of solving this problem, finding out the data collection, and analysis and conclusion. First, we are finding the problems, then we are adopting some methods, then using the methods, we are collecting the information, then analyzing and writing reports. Then we are doing a comparative study also. The same kind of case is repeated 2 or 3 times and alternative description or explanation can be compared. So means here I can find out 2-3 cases and repeatedly I can collect the information. Otherwise from same cases I can repeat it 2 or 3 times, I can collect the information from him, then I can compare it. So each time however it is the variation is coming. Otherwise one case, another case I can take, I can collect the information from these 2 cases at a particular time, and then I compare what exactly happening within them. Theory building, case study evidences are used to construct and ground new theories. By taking the case study also I can take, because sometimes when we look at the Evans Universe, all studies, mostly he was based on case studies. He did the case studies on Kurks as a community in Mysore, and then from that he used the concept that your dominant caste, Sanskritism, all these concepts are being developed by him, because all these theories are being developed based on the case study he conducted in the Kurks. And suspense, the result comes fast and the regions later. So sometimes what happens, we also write some report where we describe the result fast. Then we why somebody is behaving in such a way, why something is coming in a different way. That suspense comes little later. And thank you. So anybody any question, any query? Tell me, anybody any query on this? Hello. Are you completely understanding the case study or you have any problem? Okay. So no doubt you can now if I'll assign in the field in future, you can also write a case study, because whenever in the next semester we'll go for the field lab, you can also write small cases. So no problem you'll face in future. Good. So anybody then